And for more on Angela Merkel's trip to Brazil, I spoke to Arturo Porzecanski. He's a professor of economics at the American University here in Washington. And I started by asking him about the overall expectations for this visit.
The expectations are fairly low. There's talk of some agreements in only two areas: internet security and environmental climate change related issues. But maybe there's a surprise and they make some progress on trade and investment issues, which are really far more important potentially.
Well, looking forward to the future, Merkel has been urging speeding up the conclusion of that free trade deal between the EU and a bloc of South American countries. Arturo, what's the holdup here?
Yes, mostly it's that Brazil has been negotiating on behalf of Mercosur, namely on behalf of Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and now even Venezuela as its trading partners. And whereas Uruguay and Paraguay in particular have been willing to make concessions, and Brazil has too, Argentina has been very recalcitrant. So there's a lot of pressure within Brazil to move ahead without Argentina.
Is that likely that there will be an agreement leaving out Argentina?
I think it could come to pass if the new government in Argentina, which will be voted on in October and which will take office in December, is equally recalcitrant. But let's hope for the best, that we'll have new winds blowing from Buenos Aires.
Well, should that happen, what would the significance be of this free trade agreement?
The significance is that there are fewer issues separating Brazil and its neighbors from Europe, as opposed to, say, vis-a-vis Asia or the United States. For one thing, the United States is a big agricultural producer, Europe is not, and also in terms of mining and other interests, they're more closely aligned vis-a-vis Europe. So basically, I think it's low-hanging fruit, and it's something that could happen next year.
Low-hanging fruit is definitely a positive for those countries involved, but are there any points of friction that are likely to come up during this visit between Germany and Brazil?
I think that in general there will be a plea for making Brazil more business and investor friendly. In recent years, under President Rousseff's leadership, the red tape and bureaucracy have increased, corruption have increased, and it's now out in the open. And in general, policies have been very state interventionist and directed. So I'm sure Angela Merkel is going to try to suggest, not just to Greece, but also to Brazil, that business-friendly policies work best.
Well, you mentioned the corruption that Rousseff, corruption charges and allegations that Rousseff is facing, and she's certainly struggling in the polls. Her popularity is at an all-time low. How does this impact the visit?
Well, I'm sure that Angela Merkel is not expecting all that much, because indeed Brazil and the political class are right now consumed by the scandals, so their ability to deliver on just about anything is low.
Well, some analysts are saying that the German-Brazilian government consultations are especially important to businesses, given the growing presence of China in Brazil. How does Brazil's strengthening relationships with China influence or impact Germany here?
I think it's very difficult to speak about country versus country. Brazil in general has been fairly nationalistic, has not opened very many doors, whether it is to Chinese or German or other companies in recent years. A lot of opportunities, especially in the energy area, have been monopolized by the state. So neither Chinese nor German companies have been able to make a lot of inroads in recent years.
You know, Arturo, you mentioned that the timing of this trip is a welcome distraction for both leaders. For Merkel from the Greece crisis, and for Rousseff from the situation at home, beyond the ceremonies and beyond the talk shops. Do you think one concrete thing is likely to come from this visit, and what would that be?
Well, I think it's important for Brazil, and especially President Rousseff, not to feel isolated, vis-a-vis Europe and the rest of the world. She really does not have a lot of good relations with people outside South America. So it's a bridge building opportunity for her. And as you said, for Angela Merkel, it's a vacation from all the problems and headaches in Greece and Europe.